Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the screen? Yes. Are you able to see the screen? Okay. So once again, good morning. This is the video lecture on Python Django full stack web development. We are discussing with the front end part, the last component of the front end part. So that is the JavaScript. So in the JavaScript, we have two levels, level 1 and level 2. So in level 1, we have gone with concepts like operators, data types, printf and scanf statements, next control statements and loops. Okay, so that we are going to consider it as the level 1. Okay, so now you come for the advanced of the particular thing. So that is JavaScript level 2. So let's see what we are going to study in this JavaScript level 2. Once a minute. Okay, so let's go for what are all the concepts we are going to study in this JavaScript level 2. So let's have a brief description of the slide here. So welcome to JavaScript level 2. So far, we have only learned the basics. We have only learned the basics of the JavaScript. It is the time to expand our understanding by learning about more advanced materials. So in this section, we are going to cover the 3 topics. So first one, we shall go with the functions. Next, we go with arrays, and third one, we shall go with a concept called objects. So these are the 3 concepts we are going to see in the JavaScript level 2. So that is functions, arrays, and objects. So we will also have an exercise for each of these topics for the plenty of the practice. Okay, so in the JavaScript level 2, we are going with 3 concepts. One is the functions, the other one is the arrays, and the third one is the object. So these are the 3 concepts what we are going to see with. Okay, so let's get started. So first you go with part 1. The part 1 is the concept is functions. So under the functions, we are going to discuss. So functions will be our main building blocks. They will allow us to easily reuse the code more than once and not constantly repeat ourselves. So till now, we have gone with a first concept, that is if statements. So what's the if statement will do? If condition is true, the statement will be executed only once. If condition is false, the statement will be, the else part will be executed only once. So similarly, when you go with the loops, if depending on the condition, so depending on the condition, the statement will be executed only once or depends on condition until true. If condition is true, then it will go for the n number of times. This will allow us to reuse the code more than once and not constantly repeat ourselves. Okay. So general syntax for the JavaScript function. So similar to C, C++. So function, here you are having the word keyword function, but in C, C++, here you won't have the function as the keyword. So here it will be given as return data type. So, but here we are having the keyword function followed by the name of the function. So with the 2 parameters, parameter 1 and parameter 2, and the code to be executed. So what is the main thing? First, you use the word function as the keyword, followed with the function name, and with parameters, parameter 1 and parameter 2. Okay, so JavaScript function. So when you go with a C function, so we have two types of functions. One is the calling function, the other one is the called function. So in calling function will be inside main, called function will be outside main. The parameter inside the calling function are called as actual parameters. The parameter outside in the called function, we call it as formal parameters. So now you see, this is the function name and this is the code written. So what it is called, whether you call this one as a calling function or you call this one as called function. So what you will call this one, there are two functions. So calling and called. So for here I have given the general syntax, parameter 1, parameter 2, flower bracket open, write the code, flower bracket close. So what we call it as, so whether it is a calling function or called function. Yes, answer here. Called function. Okay, good. So because you are in calling function, you will only write the function name with the parameters. No code what the function should do will not be written. But when you come for the called function, we have parameter 1, parameter 2, and code to be executed, you write that one. So that will make the called function. Okay, this is the called function parameter because here flower bracket open, flower bracket close. So you are writing a code to be executed. We use the function keyword to indicate that we have a function. Okay, so what is the word you have to take? You use the function keyword. So function keyword is used to make it as a function. So then we have option of passing and parameters. This could also not have any parameters. So these are the parameters what we are going to give the as the formal parameters. So as this is a called function, the parameters given for the called function, we call it as formal parameters. Okay. So someone using the function could pass in parameters required for the function to do something with. So you can give the values for the parameters to calculate something. Okay, so let's go straight to the editor and our console to really show how to create and use the function in JavaScript. So that we can take it as function name, parameter 1 and parameter 2. So let's go for the straight to the editor and our console. Okay, so take the editor. So I already opened the Autumn text editor here. Go for file, take the new file. Again, go for file, take the new file. So one for HTML, the other one for JavaScript. So come for the HTML. So here you represent it as HTML. Okay, so take it as HTML. Save. So under JavaScript, what you can take. So I will go for that desktop. Go for new folder. So JavaScript level 2. So I will take the new folder JavaScript level 2. So under that I have the new one functions.html. So this is the new file name we have taken. So because you are going to implement the functions, so I have given the name as functions.html, and this one you make it JavaScript. So JavaScript tree seeder. Okay, so go for file, save the contents. So you take it as functions.js. So two names, functions.html, functions.js. So two files we have taken. Now you have HTML. So under that you give the title. So what can be the title? So take it as functions demo here. Okay, then I will come for the heading. So what can be the, you can take it as functions in JS. Okay. So now link the HTML file with the JavaScript file. So take script with external source, remove this char set. So here you give it as function.js. This is a script we have taken. So save this particular, come for the JavaScript part. Okay. So now under JavaScript part, we shall have the concepts. Okay. So we will be discussing each and everything in the JavaScript, the use of functions. So let's start with the functions part. So come with a simple example. Okay. So let's start with a simple example here. Okay. So I take the comment followed with a code. Okay. So let's have a simple function with no input parameter, So in that I'm taking a function space hello. So this is a simple one I'm going to take. So under this hello, so I'm giving it as a log statement. So take the console log. So then you give hello world. So I've given the hello statement and I've taken console.log hello world. Okay. So now let's see what this one is going to return in our thing. So I have written the function definition here. So now you see what you will get. So I will be giving just the hello here. So this is the called function. So called function, I have given the code, everything there. Then I have given just the calling function. So let's see what happens. Okay. So I have not given the parenthesis here. Without parenthesis, I have called the function here. Okay. So save this contents, go for file, go with save, go for the function, HTML, save the contents, go for edit, copy the path. So now go for the browser and paste that particular thing. So here it is showing the title is functions demo. Heading we have taken as functions in JS. So under that you have to go with the console part. So under console part it is telling fail to load the resource. Okay, so there is some problem here. So the source, the file name is functions.js. So see here, it is function.js. So here also you should give it as function.js. So now you refresh and see. So close this particular console. So refresh, go for the view source console. So are you getting anything else? So you give hello. So if you give hello, so you have to type the hello here. So if you type hello, it is showing console.log hello world. So the program what you have written here, hello console.log hello world, it is been printing, the entire program is been printing if you didn't give the parenthesis. Okay. So let's see what happens if you give parenthesis. Okay. So I've given the parenthesis. Now I have refreshed. Now you can see the only the contents of the file, contents of the function is been printed. So if you didn't give brackets, what happens? So entire function with a code will be printed. If you give the brackets, only the statements within this will be printed. Understood? So that is the concept of having hello function without parenthesis and with parenthesis. Understood? Understood up to here? Yes. So you have to understand, if you didn't give the bracket, so you will be getting the entire content. If you give the bracket, only the statement inside the code will be executed. That is the concept. Okay. So now you come for the next example. So next you take some example function with parameter. Function with parameters. So now I am going to take the parameter here. So for that I will call a function. So already hello is taken. So I go with a hello you. Something you have taken with one of the parameter as name. Okay. So bracket open. So take a log statement. So console.log. So here I am giving hello. So after the double quote, you add plus name. Okay. So after the double quote, you are adding plus name. So now I call a function hello you of as the name. So it should be given. So I give my name. Okay. So hello you of Manoj. So what is the name? The parameter I am giving, the Manoj is the parameter I am giving for the parameter name. So what it should print, hello plus name should be printed. Okay. So save these contents, go and refresh. So here you can see it is showing hello followed with Manoj, but there is no space in between the hello and Manoj. Okay, so that's one you have to give. So here you had a space. Okay, so let's see what happens if you give the space. So is the space been added? No, you have refreshed, there is no space added. So now you give space here. Okay, so you give space here and save. So now let's see what happens. So here you are getting hello space Manoj. Okay. So this is making use of functions with parameters. Okay. So similarly with a parameter, this one we have taken the parameter as, so this one you take, this one you take parameter as string. Okay. So now you take parameter as integer. So for parameter as string, you have taken that particular thing because name is name, what you are giving here, it is a string. So now you come for the integer. Okay. So under the integer, you can take something called adding two numbers. So add num. I take a function. So function we have taken as add num of n1 comma n2. So two numbers n1 comma n2. So under that you take a log, console.log of, there you give n1 plus n2. So console.log of n1 plus n2. So this is parameter as string integer. So now I call the function add num of 10 comma 20. So this is the function I've written. So next go with this one. So here you are getting the value 30. Okay, so value is 30 because 10 plus 20 is been resulted in 30 only. Okay, understood? Now you come for the next one. Concept called default values. So concept called using default values. So suppose default values should be given for parameters. Okay, so where are the parameters? If the values are not given, so it will take the value and it will print it. So let's have the concept of the default values here. So default values as integer as well as default values as string. So I will be taking value as string. So come for the value as string, then you shall go with a value as integer. Okay, so for that, I'm going to take a function. So hello sum. So hello sum I have taken. So under that I have taken a string. So string you have taken it as something called Kumar. So this is the default value what we are going to give. So default values can be given for the parameters. Okay. So when you give the default value, I will tell you. Okay. So under that you take a log. So console.log. So take the same statement, hello space, there you give plus name. So here you have taken like this. Okay. So now I have given, so here you see hello you, name is given, the parameter is also given, but you see now I am going to call a function hello sum. Okay. So I'm not passing any value here. So keep in your mind, here I am passing the value Manoj. So in place of name, you will be getting it as Manoj here. Okay. So, but here I am not passing any value. Just I am calling a function. So now let's see what you will get. So refresh this one. So you are getting it as hello Kumar. Okay. Because you are not passed any value inside the calling function. So value in the called function will be taken as default. Understanding? So suppose if I give welcome Java, so now I am giving the parameter here. So at that time, will this parameter will be taken or not? So let's have that one. So hello sum. So this is a string. So I should give it in double quotes. Okay. So hello sum of Java. So if you give like this, so what happens? Let's see. So here you are getting it as hello Java. Okay, as you give the value for the parameter, the default value will not be taken. If you didn't give anything, then default value will be taken. Okay, understood? So now similarly, you come for the next one, value as integer. So I am only taking the integer. So value as integer, copy the same thing. Okay, so Control C and paste this particular thing. So now you see I'm not giving any values, but I will give the values for n1 is equal to 5 and next n2 is equal to 5. Okay, so inside this I'm not calling any of the values. So save the contents and go for the result. So going for the result, you are getting it as 10 because you have not given any value for the add num, but you have, if you are not given, the default values will be taken. So at that time, 5 plus 5 will result in 10. Okay, so that is the concept of default values. So now you see. So far we are going with printing the statements only. So here also you are printing the statement, here printing, everywhere you are printing the statements, but you are not returning any value. Okay. So far we have gone with the printing of the statements. So if you take the printing of the statements, so take a first example. So I will take some function. I will tell you what you are going to do there. So take a function called name. So formal with parameters. There are two parameters I am going to give. So I will give it as Anuj, comma. So add new one, title. So title you give it as sir. Okay. So I will be giving like this. So come for the console.log. So take the statements. So console.log, you give title plus double quote. So title, then you add plus, that means space, name. Okay. So this is the function we have taken. Okay. So Now let's call a function formal. So I'm going to call a function formal here. So let's see what you are going to get. So you are getting it as Sir Manoj. Okay, because you have taken name is equal to Manoj and title is equal to Sir. So here if you want space, you give. So Sir S should be in capital. So title space is given. Now let's see what you are getting here. So Sir space Manoj. Okay. So now this value is only to be printed. So suppose if I add any parameter, okay. So if I add any parameter like welcome plus formal. So what it should print, if I take this example, welcome plus formal. So what it should print, it should print. So you are taking it as, so go for the browser. So here you give double quote. So welcome plus formal. So if you give, so you are getting the formal output, Sir Manoj you are getting, but when you go here, welcome undefined. So that means welcome is not being added, okay? Because the value what you are going to store. So this one, title plus name is being stored in formal, but you are not adding it to the new word called welcome. So welcome is undefined here, okay? So in order to get welcome for that, you have make use of the concept called return values. So in order to get that, so you are going to make use of the concept called return values. So if you take return, so let's see the same thing. Just copy these two things, Control C, Control V. So in place of console.log, just you take it as return. So remove this, give it as, sorry, so it should be small. So return, you remove this particular brackets. Okay. So now let's see what happens when you call this function with a return value. So refresh. So you're not getting anything there. Okay. You are calling a function formal there. So you are calling the same function again and again. You remove this particular thing. Okay. So now you save and refresh. So this function is not, so you are given it as return. Okay. So when you call the return, so now you are not returning any value. So now you have welcome, you give welcome plus formal. So here you can see welcome Sir Manoj, it is showing. Okay, so that means the value should be returned, then only you can get it as welcome Sir Manoj. Okay, so that is the concept of return values. So now you finally have the concept called scope. So what is a new concept? It is scope. So in scope, you are having two things. First one is local scope and the next one is global scope. So you have two things. One is the local scope, the other one is the global scope. So let's have this particular example. So global scope means the variable can be applied for n number of functions. But when you go for the local scope, the variable can be applied for only one variable can be applied for within the function. Okay, so for that you are taking local scope and global scope. So let's have the programming of that. So let's have a concept of a local scope and global scope. So come for the local scope. So I am taking a variable. So this is the global V. Okay. So next I take a new variable where stuff is the new variable. So I am global stuff. So you are taking two things, global V, where stuff, I am global stuff. Okay. So now I call a function. So call a function fun of stuff. Sorry, it is stuff. Bracket open. So now I take log console.log of V. Okay. So console.log of V. Now I take the next variable, the same variable I am taking stuff. So stuff is stuff local. So I will be taking it as stuff is equal to local. So now I take a log. So in log, I call a function called stuff. Okay. So now after this, so close this. Now I call a function fun. So I call a function fun. So what it should show. So V is called only once. So this is the global scope. So stuff you have called one time, two times, one outside the function, one inside the function. So here you have to give it as where. Okay, where stuff is equal to local stuff. So when you go with a console.log, so V, you will be getting it as global V. So when you call, so now when you give stuff, so what are the things you will be getting? So let's see here. So you are getting global V and stuff as local. Stuff as local because so you are calling a function and you are reassigning a variable here. So when you call the immediate stuff here, so it will this local stuff will be considered and it will be printed. So global stuff will not be printed. Understood? That is the concept. So global V and stuff local. So you are going to get. Understood up to here? So this is up to the functions with no input, with parameters, integers and strings, default values as integers and strings, returning the values, local and global scope, so everything. Okay. So this is up to functions part. So I have understood up to here. Yes. Understood up to here. Okay. So, okay, good. So this is up to functions. So I will be sharing the exercise part. So I work on that exercises and write the code for that exercises. Okay. So I will share in the WhatsApp group. Kindly go through and share. This is up to today's class. Kindly understand the concepts. So we have seen how to make use of the functions in JavaScript. Okay. So I will be uploading in YouTube channel. Kindly like, share, subscribe for the channel and understand and get the knowledge of the web development. So meet you in the next class. Thank you.